Ketavan, U.S. President Donald Trump back in Washington today after 2 weeks in Florida, and the holidays are definitely over for him. He's returning to questions over whether his order to kill Soleimani was legal or not. Can you explain that further?
Yes, that's the big debate that we're going to have in the coming week as Donald Trump returns from a vacation, as well as many of the U.S. lawmakers. And the debate really is going to be at the heart of this decision to kill Soleimani. We saw the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, doing the rounds on the Sunday morning shows, trying to defend this action and really doubling down on the fact that there was an imminent threat. And these are two words that we're going to be hearing over the next few days, because this is at the heart of the matter. The Democrats mostly are criticizing the move because there was no congressional approval for the strike, that there was not even a briefing of some of the top Democrat or even Republican lawmakers before that move, and that possibly makes the strike illegal, unless, and that's the argument of the Trump administration, this was an imminent threat. And that's what Mike Pompeo is trying to make clear. Although he did not give really any information as to what that imminent threat was, he was pressed to give more details. He didn't say what it was, how many attacks they were thinking about, or even whether the imminency of the threat was a few days or even a few weeks. So really, we are in the dark about what that imminent threat means. But it is the way that the Trump administration is arguing that it was right to make the move and to kill Soleimani. And it's not just legally, also politically, because remember that Donald Trump was elected on a platform of ending those endless wars, as he calls them, and bringing the troops back home. People in the U.S., whether they're Republican or Democrat, are pretty much against any new war. There have been already some protests in the United States. So this would be also a way to show that it was just a reaction to an imminent threat and not the start of a new war.
But there have been mixed signals coming out of the White House in regards to Iran. We have Secretary of State Mike Pompeo being a little more measured, but Trump has been tweeting threats of striking dozens of sites, even of disproportionate responses. Do we know what the official message is here?
Well, that is a very good question, because the official message is a little bit blurred. The official line of policy of the United States would be not to start a war. That was the official statement that Donald Trump made from Florida after the strike, saying that he was not trying to start a war. He was not trying to imply a regime change in Iran, and that the U.S. was simply defending its interests. That's what Mike Pompeo has been trying to do, but there is this question of retaliation, and Donald Trump in his tweets has had a very different approach to it. As you mentioned, he talked about disproportionate retaliation. Yesterday, he was talking about striking 52 targets in the event of a U.S. Of an Iranian attack on a U.S. interest, and he even said that he would be ready to target cultural sites, which would be a war crime according to international law. So his rhetoric on Twitter is very aggressive, and it looks a lot like trying to prevent Iran from doing anything that could start another attack from the U.S. So maybe it's a lot of rhetoric, but it does seem like the Americans, like the Trump administration, is getting ready for any type of retaliation from the Iranians. And Donald Trump even saying in his tweet that all his tweets warning the Iranians would be used as a notification to the U.S. Congress that the U.S. would be retaliating and would be possibly starting a war against Iran.
Washington correspondent Ketavan Gorjestani, thank you so much for that update.